Everyone wants to do the right thing. But how do they know what's right? Greek philosophical giant Aristotle considers the weighty questions of how humans should live and how to find the highest good in life in the Nicomachean Ethics, generally considered the most important ethical treatise in the Western philosophical tradition, which influenced centuries of political philosophy and gave enduring advice for seekers of happiness. Aristotle argues happiness comes from virtue and wisdom. He examines political science, justice, desire, and human relationships. Thinkers from medieval to contemporary times have relied on the Nicomachean Ethics for philosophical insight into living their best possible lives. The name Nicomachean was given to the Ethics in honor of either Aristotle's son or his father, both of whom were named Nicomachus. It is possible that Nicomachus the Younger edited the Ethics after his father's death. Now, let's summarize the book. In Book 1, Aristotle wants to find the highest human good for individuals and communities. This good will be self-sufficient and capable of guiding humans throughout their lives. He begins by examining happiness, which is commonly believed to be humans' highest goal or ultimate good. Everyone seeks happiness. However, the only way to achieve complete happiness is to acquire virtue or excellent character. The Nicomachean Ethics will explain why and how humans can achieve their highest good. Since humans have rational souls, their function is to live a life of reason, seeking the truth. They should not simply fulfill their desires, but they should cultivate virtue with the help of rational thought. In Book 2, to be happy, people can strive for virtues of character, which they cultivate through habit. Virtue requires the right approach to pleasure and pain. Aristotle also distinguishes between the state of virtue and the actions of the virtuous person. Many virtues are mean or intermediate states between an excess or a deficiency of a character trait. This famed section of Nicomachean Ethics touches upon the main idea of what would come to be known as the golden mean of virtue. Qualities of character all have an intermediate state, which Aristotle compares to the mathematical mean or average of two or more numbers. To develop good habits, humans should aim for the mean. He does not divide most traits into good and bad categories. Instead, he shares how someone can have an excess or deficiency of each trait, making an otherwise virtuous quality into a vicious one. Showing a logical and linear perspective, Aristotle advises anyone with a tendency toward a certain deficiency or excess to err in the opposite direction. This error will bring them closer to the intermediate state and to virtue. Justice can also aim for the mean when dividing resources or righting wrongs, although the mean in justice often requires proportion rather than mathematical equality. Aristotle's doctrine of the mean later eventually came to be known as the golden mean, although he does not describe it in these terms. The color gold is often associated with superior qualities. The principle of the golden ratio is used in mathematics, art, architecture, and other fields to express golden or ideal proportions. In addition, the golden rule refers to the Christian principle of treating others as you would want to be treated, or loving another as you would love yourself. Another example, bravery is the mean or intermediate state between being too rash and being a coward. The mean is challenging to achieve, and individuals may tend toward different extreme states, depending on their natural inclinations. They should avoid their natural extremes and be cautious about pursuing pleasure. In Books 3 and 4, right actions help people achieve virtuous states. Decision is essential to taking the right action, and people make good decisions through deliberation. People have the power to choose virtue or vice, but they must start with the correct internal principles. Perfecting an individual virtue consists of doing the right thing at the right time, in the right way, and with the right mindset, until it becomes habit. Aristotle discusses the virtues of bravery and temperance in Book 3. He analyzes other virtues of character, such as generosity, magnificence, and friendliness in Book 4. In Book 5, virtue in a political community takes the form of justice. Humans and communities can both achieve the state of justice through their actions. Laws and principles of fairness can bring justice to a society with good rulers. Aristotle distinguishes between several different types of justice and injustice. Special justice concerns fairness in individual situations. Distributive justice gives everyone what they deserve according to their worth. Rectifactory justice rights wrongs by balancing gain and loss between two parties. Justice in exchange governs economic transactions between different goods and services. Individual acts can be just or unjust, but those actions are distinct from a just and unjust character. Aristotle explores different questions related to justice, including the possibility of involuntary injustice, the distinction between natural and legal justice, and the role of decency. Humans' ethical responsibilities is a main idea that pops up here as it pertains to the city, and in books 8 and 9 when it comes to friends and family. The Nicomachean Ethics is not only about individual happiness, it's about how someone can achieve arete, or excellence in character, a requirement of a truly happy life. Excellence comes with certain responsibilities to oneself and to others. Humans owe loyalties and devotions to their city, their family, and their friends. Aristotle details communal responsibilities to the city in Book 5, and to friends and family in Books 8 and 9. Virtues like bravery and magnanimity may require sacrifices for the common good, and the ethical person makes prudent decisions about when and how much to give. Ethical people also owe themselves the best life possible. According to Aristotle's view of human function, anyone not striving for virtue through reason is depriving themselves of their birthright. Temperance ensures they maximize opportunities for pleasure without the consequences of overindulgence. Truthfulness gives them an honest assessment of their self-worth. Understanding and scientific knowledge prepare them to achieve wisdom and unlock their full potential. In Book 6, expanding on his discussion of virtue, Aristotle explores virtues of thought, which come from the rational or reasoning part of the soul. He examines the relationship between thought, action, and decision. In order to make good decisions, humans need to deliberate well, and this deliberation requires correct thought processes. Virtues of thought include scientific knowledge, craft, comprehension, and consideration. Nevertheless, the most significant virtues of thought, which enhance all the others, are wisdom and understanding, and prudence. Prudence is a practical, applied version of wisdom required for full virtue and right action. In Book 7, after explaining virtues of thought in the previous book, Aristotle goes into detail about vices to avoid. He distinguishes vice from the condition of incontinence or lack of restraint in pursuing physical desires. He examines how incontinence can be caused by spirit or appetite, and compares and contrasts incontinence with a seemingly similar vice, intemperance. Book 7 also discusses good, moderate approaches to pleasure and how to pursue bodily pleasures responsibly in a happy life. In Books 8 and 9, friendships contribute to a good life. While some friends are only utility or pleasure-based, the most lasting friendships will be based on virtue. Incomplete friendships, or those based on utility or pleasures, have their own merits and drawbacks. However, virtuous friendships between good people enhance both friends' lives in many ways. Since virtuous people always seek the good, an excellent friend is an essential good in their lives. Book 8 explores the requirements of each type of friendship. It also describes friendships between people of unequal status and how to handle conflicts between friends. Books 8 and 9 relate friendship to citizenship in the larger political community. Book 8 discusses friendship within the dynamics of a family and within different systems of government. In Book 9, Aristotle answers more specific questions about friendship, such as when to dissolve a friendship and whether a good person can be a friend to himself or herself. The advice and observations about friendship from these books is still completely applicable to this day. And friendship and political community is a main idea in the book, too. To Aristotle, the disciplines of law, ethics, philosophy, and political science are intertwined. Every human friendship should apply principles of justice, such as justice in exchange. Every city, town, or political community relies on features of friendship, like goodwill or concord. Both individual friendships and larger groups rely on reciprocity, communication, fair transactions, and mutual understanding of social status and worth. Aristotle believes humans are political by nature. To be virtuous and happy, people need both the positive influence of friends and the guiding regulations of the state. His discussions in Book 8 of political systems and patterns in friendship show how humans can succeed at cultivating community and how they can fail. Finally, in Book 10, after his examination of virtue, Aristotle returns to the role of pleasure and happiness. Pleasure is a good, he determines, and a necessary completion to any good activity. However, it's not self-sufficient enough to be the best possible good. The highest good, which leads to the happiest life, is study in the pursuit of wisdom. Perhaps here more than in any other section, the main idea of wisdom and happiness comes to light. The wise person more than anyone else will be happy, Aristotle says in this book. Both phronesis, practical wisdom or prudence, and sophia, intellectual wisdom, play a part in the complete wisdom he advocates. Having knowledge is not enough. Wisdom requires the ability to understand, appreciate, and contemplate knowledge. This aspect of life comes closer to the pure activity of thought than anything else possible for humans, and it's the closest to the divine life of the gods. Wisdom plays a part in every individual virtue of the happy life. The wise person has the right perspective about pleasures and material goods. He can take full advantage of learning a craft or expanding his scientific knowledge. He understands how to act in different relationships. Nevertheless, even if no other virtues or goods were available, he would still choose wisdom, a state complete in and of itself. Study and understanding meet all of Aristotle's criteria for the ultimate good and allow humans to approach the state of the divine. Aristotle concludes by asserting the importance of moral education for happiness. He discusses how law and political science are essential for a just community and introduces his political treatise, Politics, which will explore different systems of law. The Nicomachean Ethics is the Greek world's first recognized ethical treatise, but Aristotle was not the first to tackle the weighty topic of ethics. Ethics is the discipline or field of study concerned with concepts of right and wrong behavior. It's sometimes called moral philosophy. The word ethics comes from the Greek ethikos, meaning moral, showing moral character. While morals emphasize practical decision-making based on theories of right action and human well-being, ethics considers the theories themselves. The discipline tackles both universal moral concepts and specific cultural codes. Aristotle died in 322 BCE of a stomach ailment. The Nicomachean Ethics, a series of thoughts on the best way to live, is the most famous of Aristotle's ethical works. The text is considered fundamental reading for students of ethics and philosophy.